Jacobson, bona fide EFL legend, Joe Jacobson. Anyway, what's this all about? You're wondering. Well, we are an EFL program, two people who live, breathe, eat, drink, and everything else. The beautiful game here in England, and we are going to be bringing you 2 shows a week where we dissect everything that goes on around the 72. That's everyone beyond the Premier League. And believe me, it's so much more fun than over there. We got 3 divisions: relegation, promotion, fights, new owners, old owners, people trying to kill clubs, people trying to bankrupt clubs. This is where it's all about, isn't it, Joe?
This is exactly right. And who better to be next to than you called me the EFL King. You are the absolute EFL GOAT. There's no one that goes to more games than you. There's no one that's got more knowledge than you on the EFL. It's a privilege to be here with you talking EFL. Can't wait to get stuck into it. I can't wait to talk to the Americans about what goes on over here, what they're missing out on. Yeah, let's get it going.
Absolutely. Great to be alongside you. It is Monday, 17th of March. As mentioned, we'll bring you a show on a Monday, which looks back at the weekend's action. And then Fridays, we will have your preview to all of the weekend's action. So you can check it out on your TVs. You can watch it online, or you can even make some money on it and have a little bit of a bet. So Joe made what? How many appearances? 700 plus EFL appearances. I've got a grand total of none. I talk about it. He played it. This is what it's all about. Let's get going with EFL Today for the week commencing Monday, 17th of March. And Joe, another mad weekend across the Football League. All the teams involved. And my word, more storylines developing at the tops of each division and at the bottom.
Yeah, and the championship's got it all going on, isn't it? There's the fight for automatic promotion and that kind of golden egg to get to the Premier League, how clubs search and they spend money they don't have, owners that will put everything into their football club just to get into that Premier League, just to get a season most of the time there. They feel like they cracked it, but the top end of that league is unbelievable at the minute, isn't it? 3 teams, 2 points separating them. Leeds looked like they were done, at 2-0 down to QPR, and all of a sudden they come back, they fight back. A sign of a true championship winning team for me is when you can come back from 2 goals down away from home, get a point, put the pressure back on the other 2, and Burnley and Sheffield United keeping up with their wins as well. And you look at the bottom end of the table, and there's 8 teams down there that could all get relegated. There's teams that have been in the Premier League as recently as last season in Luton. There's teams that have come up like Derby and Plymouth recently, and every week it seems like there's a huge game down there. We looked at Plymouth v Derby on the weekend. What a huge win for Derby that was, and John Eustace being the manager there. And Plymouth, for me, it looks like maybe one game now too many. They need a result there, and I don't know what you feel about it, but I feel like they're the only one at the minute where I think are probably gone.
I disagree. 6 points, but they've still got 8 games to go. And Miron Muslic, this manager, he's a warrior, and he's a proper Hollywood showman. You see the speech he did when he come into the club, and what he offers, and they've still got a bit of fight. Yes, they're losing games, but I don't know. There's something about them. But that race down the bottom: Luton, Derby, Cardiff, Stoke, Hull City. I mean, all within sort of 6 points of each other. Oxford picking up a big win against Watford at the weekend. I also want to take a look at some of the other divisions, and we're talking about sort of headlines. Charlton Athletic. Now, Charlton Athletic, for those of our sort of like listeners who don't know about them, they were very much an established Premier League outfit. Relegated though, Joe, 19 years ago now, out of the Premier League. It's been such a long time for them. They've got a Premier League stadium, good fan base. They have had the worst owners known to man for those 19 years, like in and out of just trouble. But finally, they've got owners who are half based across the pond, half based here in the UK, and who made a Netflix documentary about him. Charlie Methven heads things up, although I hear he's on his way out of the club. He's going to be leaving and moving on. but they appointed a manager called Nathan Jones. Now, for those of our listeners who don't know who Nathan Jones is, he is the most passionate Welshman, just like you, isn't he, Joe? He's Welsh, he loves it. He's got fire. He's got desire. He's got passion. And this week, he banned his players from going to shopping malls, Joe. Shopping malls, going and having a coffee, someone like high-fiving each other as well. Not allowed to do it. It worked, though, because they're unbeaten in 10 and they're winning and they are heading up the table.
Yeah, they're on absolute fire, aren't they? And this time of the season, what they call it, the business end of the season, the last 10 or so games. I don't know what you think of the amount of times, the date really, where you can start calling it the business end of the season. But I think we're certainly in the midst of it now. And Charlton are that team who everyone's looking over their shoulder. There's always one, isn't there, that comes from nowhere, like they did mid-table. Looked like the season was kind of ending without really a fight. Lost Alfie May in the summer, who's a superstar at this level, went to Birmingham, and people are wondering whether they're going to have a good season. Nathan Jones comes in, won 10 out of 13, like you just said there. They are the ones now. If I'm Wycombe and Wrexham in that second spot, I'm thinking these lot need to calm down a little bit. They need to stop what they're doing, but they've got all the momentum, haven't they? Wycombe and Wrexham. None of them in top form, but Charlton are the ones with, within 2 or 3 games, they could be right in that mix now. They're only, 5 points off second, played the same amount of games. It's 2 wins. 2 wins when the results go their way, and they're right in that mix for the automatic promotion places, which, 10, 12 weeks ago, they're struggling for a playoff place. So what a job Nathan Jones has done.
Absolutely. We'll talk more about League One and League Two in a minute, but let's focus in on the Championship and bring you all the lowdown from the top end of that division. The race to the Premier League is just absolutely nuts. I call it wacky races, Dick Dastardly's wacky races, because just looking at the top sort of 6, one team lost. That was Sunderland, who are currently 4th. Leeds United drew, as did West Bromwich Albion. Let's start with Leeds. They took on QPR Saturday lunchtime, 2-0 down in the first half, pulled it back to 2-2. I wonder if that first league goal was just a little bit offside. They're claiming that he didn't get a touch, Junior Firpo at the back post. Then they're saying he did get a minor touch. Well, for me, that's offside. And look, no one wants to see Leeds United fail more than me. Yeah. But I don't know. I enjoy it. I enjoy being the villain. I love it. Like, everyone's so romantic about them, but there's nothing romantic about them for me.
Yeah, and do you know what? Everyone's kind of written the first place off as if it's theirs. It's done with. They're 2 points off third. If the results go there against them next game week, they could be in third place in the playoffs. So everyone's kind of thinking at the minute that they're nailed on for promotion. And I personally think they will get promoted, but I think it's so tight. The way Burnley and Sheffield United are playing at the minute, they're picking up results. I love Sheffield, the Steel City derby on the weekend. I don't know if you watched it, but it was, how intense is that fixture? You've got 2 teams that ex-Premier League teams, but Sheffield Wednesday have had a bit of a tough spell away from the Premier League for a number of years now. And for them to be on the up with a manager in Danny Roll, who's right, for me, will be a Premier League manager. That game there had everything. It was such a tough game for Sheffield United. They came out on top, and that was a huge, huge win.
I think it's worth noting that, in the EFL, we have all these Hollywood owners and owners with, like, incredible past. You look at the guys at Wrexham, Birmingham City. They're talking about Rihanna and ASAP Rocky going in at Tranmere Rovers. You, of course, know what the Sheffield Wednesday owner does, don't you?
Tuna, right?
He's the tuna king of the Midwest, my man.
The tuna
king,
yeah.
Tuna, and he's made a lot of money doing it. And again, another one who people seem to have a bit of an issue with, but he's done it, hasn't he? He's done it for a very, very, very long time. Just on the Steel City derby, it's always a tough game, isn't it? And that was a potential banana skin for Sheffield United. But Chris Wilder, he's got them promoted already. He's had them promoted before, Sheffield United, and they've rebuilt the back line. Excuse me, the goalkeeper's incredible, Michael Cooper. Done very, very well, and he's rebuilt the whole defense as well. And they needed to do that. They needed to sort of regenerate as a team.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and they had that same core group of players, didn't they? That went up, went down, went back up again. And football has that. You need to go around in cycles, and they did need to freshen it up now. But with that promotion race as it is, I like to see the odds for it, because everyone's saying that Leeds are absolutely flying away with things, and the odds suggest that. But for me, the other two, if it was down to me, I'd love to have a look at the other two's odds just to see where they're at with it, because I think that's where the value's at.
Just talking about Burnley, another clean sheet for them, or a shutout, as they call it in America. Beat Swansea City by 2 goals. And Swansea, absolutely miserable. That is a very depressing football club to follow. Anyway, down the bottom, Luton, second from bottom, 35 points, 4 off safety. Derby County, another win for them under John Eustace. And I went to his first game where they were hammered by QPR on a Friday night. Really, really miserable game for Derby at QPR. I think that might have even been Valentine's Day. I can't remember. Anyway,
No one knew though. No one knew. I was just going to say you would have taken your missus there if you had Valentine's Day, if you had a missus at this moment.
This is a good point. I'm married to the game.
Let's not talk about that.
Married to the game. Anyway, just on Derby, 3 wins on the bounce. If I'm Cardiff City now, I'm very worried. If I'm Stoke City, I'm very worried, because that again, 2 clubs that have just been in the mire completely.
Yeah, look, Cardiff fan you're talking to right here, and again with an ownership that they loved at the start. They put a load of money in. They got into the Premier League on 2 occasions. They've come back down, and all fans want to do is for them to kind of kick on again and go back to the promised land, as it were. But they haven't done. The fans are not happy with what's going on, and all of a sudden now they're in a big relegation fight. And that win against Blackburn on the weekend was huge, especially after the result the week before against Luton, where they let a 1-0 lead slip and lost the game 2-1. Again, for Luton, that was massive that they needed that, with my old teammate and manager Matt Bloomfield in charge there. But Cardiff and Stoke as well, with Mark Robins going in, everyone kind of thought, what an appointment that is. He'll cruise them to mid-table safety. And all of a sudden now, they're the ones who are conceding a last-minute penalty away at Millwall. You know what it's like when that happens. It just sucks the life out of you as a player, as a manager, as a fan. Losing those games, you're looking over your shoulder. You see everyone, you see Derby win, you see Cardiff win, you see Hull draw, Luton pick up points as well. And it's a tough position at the minute for Stoke.
Yeah, is indeed. Just focus on a couple of teams elsewhere in and around, and Luton Town picked up a couple of wins under Matt Bloomfield at a point as well the other day against Middlesbrough. I think that's a good point against Middlesbrough side who aren't bad. They're not amazing. They're still in the hunt for the playoffs, 3 points off of West Bromwich Albion in 6th. And with Luton, I don't know, man. I've spoken to people in camp who have told me that the mentality isn't right. They believe they are heading down to League One. It's going to be back-to-back relegations, back-to-back demotions at the league. I don't know. I still think there's fight left in the dog.
There has to be, doesn't it? I mean, the whole identity and the DNA of that football club is to fight, to scrap, to the fans at the stadium at Kenilworth Road. I don't know if anyone's been there, but it's so tight on top of the players. You can hear every fan abusing you as an away player, and it's a really tough place to go. But it's lost that, isn't it? It's lost that kind of aura about it that opposition players are really worried and really scared to play at. And they need to turn things around quickly. Like you said then, have they just got a load of players that maybe think that they should still be in the Premier League? It's that when you get used to losing every week, it's really difficult then to flip that round. You look at Burnley and Sheffield United, and they did change quite a few players. Luton probably didn't change enough, I don't think. And have just got those players who are so used to losing games. It's so difficult to turn that round and all of a sudden start thinking, right, we're a good team again. We're going to win games.
Before we move on to the betting with BetMGM, I'll tell you something. What my favorite thing everyone does right now, this stage of the season, is look at how many games and who everyone's got to play. And just looking at Luton Town, if you were to be betting on them, I don't know. That's all I'm saying to you. I don't know, because the remainder of their fixtures are against teams either fighting against relegation or fighting for promotion. They take on Leeds, and they go to Stoke, then they take on Blackburn at home, then it's Derby away, Bristol City at home, Coventry at home, and then they finish with West Brom away on the final day of the season. So a busy old time for Matt Bloomfield and Luton Town. Moving on, BetMGM has posted updated odds for promotion from the Championship to the Premier League. Let's run through some of them. Leeds United at -1,000. That means that if you bet $1,000, you will win 100. Sheffield United -350. Bet 350 to win 100. Burnley -200. Sunderland +175. Bet 100, win $175. Coventry +500. Bet $100, win $500 back if Frank Lampard's Coventry City make it to the big time. West Brom +700. Bet $100, win $700. Bristol City +900. Bet $100, win $900. And I'll tell you what, my $100 could be going on Bristol City, Joe.
It's a big shout, that. It's about time, isn't it? That club got in the playoffs again and had a real chance at getting promoted. I think the only thing that's nailed on in this promotion race is that Sunderland are going to finish in the playoffs. That's about it. I think they've nailed on fourth spot. But yeah, I don't think there's any value in Leeds. Not for me anyway. I don't think it's guaranteed that they're going to go up. I think the other two are Burnley and Sheffield United are way better value. I like Coventry. The way Coventry are playing at the minute, the momentum's with them. If they're in the playoffs, they had experience of losing there a couple of seasons ago to Luton Town. Have they got that mindset now to change, to all of a sudden go, you know what, we've experienced this before. We know what it takes now to get over the line. I think they're the one for me. You know, $500 winning off a $100 bet, for me, that's where the money's at.
Do they win the playoffs for you if they get there? That's the thing. Because under Frank Lampard, yes, they look fantastic, but we know that the playoffs, by the way, the playoffs in the Championship, anyone from 3rd to 6th, they have 2 playoff games, semi-finals, and then a big showpiece final event at Wembley Stadium on the last day. But if they get into the playoffs and you look at it, Burnley could be in there, Leeds could be in there, Sheffield United could be in there, then it's one from Sunderland, Coventry, West Brom, Bristol City, Middlesbrough could be in there. I don't see Blackburn, Watford and Millwall catching them, but I just wonder who wins them.
Do you know what, though? Whoever doesn't get promoted from them top 3, it's going to be so difficult for them. I think it's going to go down to the last day of the season, and one of those teams is going to miss out. Whoever then drops into the playoffs, they're going to be devastated that they didn't win automatic promotion. They now think that they're going to be in the playoffs against a team finishing 6th, who normally gets in on the last day of the season, full of confidence, nothing to lose. No one's going to be expecting them to beat whoever, if it's Burnley, Sheffield United or Leeds. And I think it's going to be really difficult for that team to turn things around, turn the mentality around so quickly after the end of the season and get up for it. So that's where I believe that someone like a Coventry could take that momentum into the playoffs and go all the way through.
Joe, let's drop into League One, the 3rd tier of English football. And whilst we await, sort of the rocks and the debris that falls down from the Championship, there are 3 teams that want to get promoted out of League One and into the Championship. Birmingham City, well, it's kind of a given, isn't it? 12 points clear at the top. They got a game in hand on Wrexham as well, but they dropped points in Northampton on Saturday. The game everyone was looking out for, though, Wrexham versus Wycombe, played well into the early evening here in England because of a medical emergency with a fan. And look, we obviously wish him all the best, don't we? But that one won narrowly by Wrexham by a goal to nil.
Yeah, I was there. I went to the game, went to see my old team play, was hoping that they could get the victory. Everyone's talking about Wrexham this season and what an amazing job they have done. But with all the razzmatazz that's gone with them, the Hollywood guys, the big story, everyone's kind of a fan that's never really watched League One football. And I was, desperate for Wycombe to do well. That incident in the crowd, I think, changed the momentum of the game. I think Wycombe were in control for large parts, but as soon as that happened, I think it was a minute and a half, 2 minutes after that, the restart, and Wrexham scored a great goal from Sam Smith. And the scenes afterwards were incredible. But I think that fight for second place is I think it's Wrexham, Wycombe. I look at Charlton and even Stockport now, the way things are going, they're both on fire at the minute as well. So all 4 teams is brought that back in. I think Wycombe, if they'd have won, would have been in cruise control going into the last 8 or 9 games of the season. But that result now has brought the others back into it.
We mentioned Charlton, their manager, Nathan Jones, banning them from going to malls and drinking coffee and high-fiving and other things that he deems as fun. Anyway, Huddersfield, got to mention them sacking their manager after what was it, sort of 4 defeats in 5. Hadn't scored any goals in their previous 2 games. They brought in their youth coach. He came in and they beat Crawley, who granted aren't very good, 5-1. Fantastic win for them. They're just inside the playoffs, but that picture keeps moving. Bolton involved, Reading involved, Leyton Orient involved as well, John.
Yeah, and an ex-teammate of mine, John Worthington, who took the reins at Huddersfield. And it's amazing, isn't it, sometimes how a manager leaves, all of a sudden a new manager comes in, a new voice. The players maybe, I don't know what it is, sometimes the players then relax a little bit. Maybe they got used to a certain voice. Not that he's been there too long, Michael Duff. So for me, it felt like they were going to be in the playoffs, or I think they were going to be in the playoffs. They've got the squad to do that. And the change was a little bit surprising for me. I don't know what you think about it when a manager gets changed in those playoff positions so late into the season. But after one game, it looks like a great decision from the ownership. And if John Worthington's got it to the end of the season, that he'll know the players, he'll know the club. He played for the club as well, and I think that sometimes allows you to bring the whole place together, unite the fans again, and kind of push on, have a little restart and kick on for the playoffs, because I think the automatics are too far gone for them. But like you said, the other race for the playoff place is down. I think Barnsley now are out of it after their defeat, and what Reading have had to go through with their ownership issues, not really signing a player for a couple of seasons, playing one of the youngest squads in the EFL, and for them to be in a position in around the playoffs, I think it's incredible what they've done there. So again, really exciting. The only thing that's disappointed me this season in League One is the bottom 4 teams. I think they're drifting far away. There's no I don't see much fight from anyone. I don't see other teams getting dragged into this scrap. I think for me, if you're asking me who's going to go down, it's those 4 positions right now. Those 4 are going to go.
Absolutely. Just taking a look at some of the others, as Joe mentioned, Leyton Orient involved, and Charlie Kelman. Yeah, absolutely firing the goals for them. Reading drawing after beating Wrexham midweek. Barnsley with some American-based owners, 3 defeats on the bounce. By the way, they sacked their manager as well. And down the bottom, it looks kind of done, doesn't it? 8 points the gap from Burton Albion to Bristol Rovers, even though Bristol Rovers, they got well beaten at the weekend. They were turned over 5-0 by Lincoln City into League Two. And Joseph, my team were winners. Hey!
Yeah, do you know what? We met the manager, I met the manager not so long ago and went to see them. And Johnny Jackson, what a great job he's done there. And what a great guy as well. Do you know what? It's nothing better when a manager is just a good guy and you want him to do well. You obviously know him a little bit more than I do, but
intimately
for them, I'm surprised you haven't got a picture of him up behind you. I think that's next episode. You're going to have one of those.
Johnny, it says Johnny is my king, but anyway, go
on. And look, they've put themselves in such a great position. But my biggest thing is Walsall. I watched one of their games probably about 2 months ago now, and I think they went like 12, 13 points clear at the top of the table. They lose Nathan Lowe, gets recalled back to Stoke, and all of a sudden it looks like everything's just collapsed for them. They've been struggling to buy a win. They were lucky they got a win on the weekend. It's their first win, I think, in 6 games. And, it's amazing what pressure can do to you when you're up there and everyone's expecting you to, again, break records, break the 100-point barrier, which very rarely gets done in the EFL. All of a sudden now they're looking over their shoulder and Bradford can catch them within 1 game week. So again, it's made it more exciting though to watch. And when you look at the automatic places, you probably think down to Colchester, who were nowhere as well, absolutely nowhere.
Yeah. So just on Bradford, I want to top it up with some stats. Bradford was 17 points behind Walsall just a few weeks ago. Wow. They could have moved level with them the other day. They couldn't. They're now 3 points behind them, which is still magnificent. But I still think that this League Two title race has got legs in it. It's like a whippet going around a track. Believe me, there's going to be no promotion race like League Two. But the team to watch out for are Colchester United. who are pure dogs of war. That's it. That's the only way I can explain it. Now, for people that don't understand, the pitches in England take a real battering. Colchester's pitch is one of the worst pitches known to man. It is genuinely horrific. Like, it is bad. Potatoes on that field, and people would not bat an eyelid. They know how to play on that field. They know how to play on that pitch, Joe, and that's a massive, massive, massive advantage to them, and they're using it.
Yeah, home advantage is key in EFL, and that's why most teams have a much better home record than they do away record because they get used to the surroundings, they get used to the pitch, the weather can be different in certain stadiums. But Colchester and the Cowley brothers, they've got a history of doing well with lower league teams, getting promotions out of League Two and the conference as well before that. So they're a team at the minute. Like I said earlier, when you get to the business end of the season, who gets the momentum? They've got experience in their squad. They've got a striker in someone like Lyle Taylor, who's been there in all the divisions, he can just score goals out of nothing. Yes, he had a little goal drought, but he scored again on the weekend. And they're the team for me who I believe can get into those top three places. Because apart from them, there doesn't seem to be too many teams that are really, really consistent at the minute. They're the only ones.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Down the bottom, and it's quite a sorry picture. Tranmere picking up back-to-back wins and some real key back-to-back wins, beating Bradford, who are in second, and Tranmere now 6 points clear of Morecambe, who are a little coastal side. Their nickname, the Shrimps. They're a little coastal side in 23rd, second from bottom, 30 points. Bottom of the league, though, Carlisle United, owned by an American group who have spent money there. They've tried to play football, they tried to do things, and it's just not worked. And with the greatest respect, and I say it very gently, they look very bad.
Yeah, and it surprises me. I always find it like strange how an ownership will hire a manager to play a certain way. You can have different styles of football, especially in the lower leagues. You can try and play your tiki-taka football like the top Premier League teams do, or you can kind of go a bit more rugged and go back to front quickly, play a bit more aggressively. And they signed a manager in Mike Williamson, who's the complete total opposite of what Carlisle has been over the years and what the bottom of League Two is all about. And they got rid of him to get someone like Mark Hughes, who's been there, done it, more pragmatic, and neither seems to work. Like I said earlier, once you get that habit of losing football matches, it's really difficult to get out of it. And they've scraped by over the years. Carlisle have been known, haven't they, to be scraping League Two relegations. What was it? Jimmy Glass, the famous goalkeeper who saved them in the last kick of the game probably about 30 years ago now.
Yeah, that must have been 1995.
He honestly, he goes down as folklore there. 1999, there you go. 25, 26 years ago, a goalkeeper saves him on the last day of the season. Can it be repeated this year? If you want to talk about Hollywood stories, that is one thing to look out for. Can it be repeated?
Jimmy Glass, what a name, what a guy. Joe, just looking ahead to something you either want to remark on over the weekend, maybe a player you watch, maybe a thing, a team, a stadium, an idea that's either great or horrible in your opinion, maybe just something that you want to chat about.
Yeah, my thing is when it gets to this time of the season, pressure. Now, I've always taught pressure is a privilege. And yes, it is. If you're at the top end of the table, it is a privilege. At the bottom end, the pressure is slightly different, and you're worrying about whether you're going to have a contract for next season, whether the manager's going to go, what's going to happen to the club's finances. But when you're up there, a team like Bradford, who have been on fire, who have got to the semi-final of the Virtue Motors Trophy, they're playing against a Tranmere team who have been in the worst form all season, the worst season that Tranmere have had in a long, long time, from whatever I can remember. They have an opportunity to go level on points with Walsall, who they've been trying to catch. Everyone's been trying to catch all season. Pressure gets to you. Pressure plays such a huge part in football, and that's why it's all right trying to catch a team. But when you have the opportunity to go level on points or go above them, teams for some reason just kind of go into their shell and fail at that. And for me, Bradford really missed out this weekend. They could have gone level on points and kicked on again. They didn't, and all of a sudden now, within one game week, they could be back to third or fourth and out of the automatic places. So for me, the biggest kind of loss this week is Bradford.
That's so highbrow and educated. Do you know what I wanted to talk about?
Go on.
Bad pies.
Oh,
bad
go on. Okay.
pies.
Where
Right,
have you been?
we're from the south, yeah, and I'm going to put my hands up and say that pies in the north are the best pies out there. They're just different. There's something different. They take more care. They put more effort in. So you've got like this brand of pie called Pucker, who are sort of like, you know, the most basic brand of pie out there. You can buy them in the shops, in the 7-Elevens, all that, in the supermarkets. They're just not very nice though. I don't enjoy it. The filling's always a bit, you know, the crust is a bit soggy. You go up north, that's a proper pie. I went up north, I had a stunning peppered steak pie. Yeah, it cost me like £1.75, which is like $2.50, something like that. Absolutely unbelievable. And do you know what? You don't get the arrogance as well. Down south, they think, oh yeah, we sell pucker pies. Great, you know, we're arrogant. No, you don't get no arrogance. They give you a pie up north. They don't even. They just put it in a bit of paper, give you a fork, let you be on your way. Absolutely stunning.
Did you have a cup of Bovril with it as well?
Oh, Bovril beef tea. No, 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 no. I had gravy on my pie, and that was absolutely stunning.
I will say one thing though, Wycombe. Talking about pies, and Wycombe's
I don't even
down
think of
south. It's not south, but it's south enough that they started getting a collaboration with Tom Kerridge, who is a Michelin star chef, to do the pies at Adams Park.
we don't
They
get
went
them
down
in the
a
media room.
treat. No, you don't get them in the media room, and they're
No,
not
we
one
get
pound
them in the
seventy-five
media room.
either.
Yeah, not good, not good at all. Cuisine is very important at football, as you well know. For me, like I'm big on the cuisine element of it. And some grounds you go to, you barely get a cup of tea, let alone a sandwich or anything like that. You don't get a smile from anyone, you know. But it is what it is. It is what it is, Joe. And that's
Yeah.
just the beauty of the football league. 72 clubs, a load of stories, promotions, relegations. My team won again. I can't. Oh, I need. Do you know what? On Friday's episode, I'm going to be telling you about my Saturday date, who I'm going out with on Saturday to watch Wimbledon versus Barrow. We're going to do that on Friday.
Wow,
Oh, it's been an
amazing.
absolute joy.
Can't wait. Can't wait to have another chat with you. Let's go through the weekend's fixtures. Let's highlight some of the League Two ones that don't necessarily get all the limelight all week. So yeah, great weekend for them.
I'm buzzing. I get to tell you about my story about who I'm going on a big football date with on Saturday. We've got the whole day planned out, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I'll see you then.
See you then. Enjoy.
Nice one, Joe. Thank you to you for tuning in on EFL Today. We'll talk to you all again on Friday, where we'll look ahead to a big old weekend across the Football League with the international break in force here in the UK. See you then.